and they enjoyed it so much, you know, just running around, exercising and having parties all over town.
So it was over?
Yes, because instead of extending the quarantine for another 2 months, they finally lifted the restrictions so we could get together and leave the house for the entire day. Man, I hated it so much.
I can understand that.
The first thing we did, I remember that. We had some people over in our backyard and we were grilling. It was a grill party with steaks, beer, music, and everything.
Sounds decent.
There were more than 20 people there, and we all brought something with us.
But how long did it last?
The party or the quarantine?
The plague.
You mean the pandemic?
Yes. How long were you affected by that disease?
It lasted for around 3 years, maybe.
3 years?
Yeah, and it was very tough.
And it just disappeared or something?
I have no idea how many people are infected now. The media is not covering it anymore. Maybe it is still there and...
So technically, it just disappeared?
Yes.
Very strange indeed.
Why?
The Knahaten Flu held the continent in its grip for more than 40 years.
Really?
Yes, and that was also created in a lab and subsequently leaked by accident.
What do you mean?
Mainstream scholars generally attribute the disease to natural causes, but during the Imperial's war on moonsugar, the legionaries who were sent to Stormhold unearthed an old abandoned alchemy lab below the city, and when investigating the scene, they made a particularly unusual discovery.
They managed to dig up an entire laboratory.
Yes, but the real deal was not the lab itself. When searching through the old chests, they found a dusty bottle of corrupted hist sap and some alchemy notes describing the sicknesses and mutations it can cause, with different kinds of ingredients.
And I guess these things were used as evidence against someone.
Exactly.
All right, but why did they leave them behind if they were so important?
When word reached the city that the legions crossed the border to Black Marsh, the alchemists of mainly Altmer origin left Stormhold in haste. Or at least that's what the Imperials reported after listening to the accounts of the bystanders.
So it is possible that they just didn't pay attention to them and made a big mistake.
A very big and foolish mistake at that.
So they were not...
And what was also a peculiar find is that the small shed which stood over the laboratory was built by an Argonian.
And what?
I personally always found it very convenient that the Argonians were immune to the disease.
Yeah, but that's still not enough to make assumptions and say that the Argonians were involved.
The evidence is plenty.
And why would they help each other?
Who?
The High Elves and the Argonians.
To destabilize the Empire and expand their control over Tamriel.
How?
The Somerset Isles were in a great position, strategically speaking. Far enough from the mainland, the Altmer were able to provide support for their old and new allies, pay off officials, and generally achieve many of their short-term goals.
So they took advantage of the situation.
Their machinations resulted in a weakened empire and elsewhere joining the Aldmeri Dominion.
Where did they join?
What?
Where did they join?
Elsewhere joined the Altmer.
Am I the only one not understanding it, or you just...
Elsewhere is a province.
Oh, that's the one with cat people, right?
Yes.
Why did they join the Dominion?
They say that it was out of respect and gratitude for the aid the Altmer provided them during the worst years of the plague. But as I have said it, the officials were paid off. Big time.
And how did this weaken the Empire?
It was not just elsewhere joining the Altmer. The plague made it impossible for the Imperials to station the legions in Black Marsh. And what was remarkably embarrassing is that the garrisons, which were ordered to hold their positions, died because of the plague, got slaughtered by the Argonians, or simply just fled back to their homeland.
So the Empire lost an entire province.
And half of its allies and a large chunk of its population, too.
Wow, man. That was a genius way to turn the tide of war.
Isn't it a bit sociopathic to say that pushing an entire continent on the verge of total collapse and plunging its populace into chaos by releasing a deadly disease is a genius thing to do?
Wait, I didn't mean
It's like, am I really the bad guy here?
No, I meant that this was a great way to turn the situation in their favor.
It was a power play.
Yeah.
And also a perfect opportunity for a get-rich-quick scheme.
I don't even have to guess that the High Elves were the ones who tried something.
Every single time.
Yeah, man.
But not in this case.
Really?
No. And I know that it's rare when those pesky Altmer are not the ones behind something. But this time, it was the Elder Council who came up with the so-called cure.
Did they try to get rich off the overpriced cure or something?
First of all, it was not an actual cure.
What was it?
It was lizard juice.
Lizard juice.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
A red guard named Perazada made a potion by boiling clanfear claws in salt water and supposedly saved an entire village.
Supposedly.
Yes. With the help of the council, her potions were mass-produced, shipped, and sold out on the first day, but she later succumbed to the plague herself. Luckily for them, it took months for the NWAS to find out that the overpriced lizard juice was as effective as sorghum tea or chicken broth.
So there was no cure for the plague.
No.
Which means that it was like your virus.
My virus?
Yes.
What do you mean?
You've created a virus which affects the minds of people and cannot be cured. I think it's called the Corpus or something like that.
The divine disease is not a virus. It's a mission to attain a higher spiritual state, to achieve chim.
But it turns people into zombie-like beings.
That is not the case
Their
with...
skin rot, and they're not sentient anymore.
Because it's a divine blessing that most mortals cannot handle.
What's the point of this blessing, then?
The blessed ones do not age and completely immune to other diseases, including the likes of the Knahaten
But
Flu.
the blessed ones are also completely brain dead and their body rot away.
I know, but there is a treatment for those trivial things.
Trivial things.
Yes.
Is there like a spell or maybe a potion that...
A potion called Corpus 19.
What's the 19 for?
The Telvanni Laboratories LLC owns the rights, and they use 19 different ingredients to produce that thing.
So there is a Corpus potion that solves these issues?
No, it's just some minor treatment, and a lot of NWAs died suddenly in the span of 2 weeks after taking it, so...
Which means that it's not very effective.
Well, that really depends on what you mean when you say effective.
You've said that a lot of people died because of it, so it's not...
That means it works. And just to emphasize how bad it is, I know a very sad and unhealthy vampire. A very, very sad and unhealthy vampire.
What's up with him?
Even he refuses to drink the blood of those who took the Corpus potion.
Okay, but what's wrong with him? Why did you bring up that he's so sad and unhealthy?
It's just unbelievable to me how he lives. His daily routine is, he wakes up in the morning, takes a shit, gets out his bed, checks his dirty chest filled with large bottles of blood. If he finds a bottle that is not empty, he takes a sip. After that, he goes back to his bed and spends the day browsing Reddit or lurking on 4chan.
And what happens when...
I also have to add that he must go back to Reddit and stay there.
Okay, but what happens if all the bottles are empty?
If the bottles are empty, he goes back to sleep until midnight, and when the time comes, he wakes up and visits the nearest tavern to pick up some hose.
I think that maybe he is either sick or depressed.
I really can't help him with that.
Why don't you just invite him to your gym and work out or have someone...
If you clean up the mess he leaves behind, I will invite him.
But you could just hire a maid or something.
Don't use that word again.
Why?
It gives me horrific flashbacks of a book I don't want to talk about ever again.
All right, but what do you do when you feel sick or depressed?
Joe, I'm a god, you know that, right?
Maybe if you share your ways with us, people can follow your footsteps and improve themselves.
Okay, so, when there are thoughts in my mind that dare to even question the greatness of my character, I just spend some time in my fume chamber.
In your fume chamber?
It's between my gym chamber and gaming chamber in the Red Mountain, and there are different kinds of volcanic fumes accumulating inside all day, so I can just sit in for a few hours whenever I want to.
Aren't volcanic fumes dangerous and toxic?
They are, mostly for the NWAs.
So this chamber is sealed with some special entrance, or...
No, it's just a wooden door.
Is that enough?
Why?
I mean, you've said that there are toxic fumes accumulating inside.
It's not leaking. Leaking has nothing to do with the material itself.
Oh, so it's like the wooden door in Minecraft.
No.
Was it a question, or...
I don't know. Minecraft.
Yeah, I asked if the door of that chamber works like the wooden door in Minecraft.
But why?
I'm just curious.
Why would the Minecraft doors work like mine?
I can explain it to you if...
What does this have to do with anything we've talked about until now?
So, in Minecraft, if you put some water in front of the door, it doesn't matter what material the door is made of, the water won't leak through. It can be an iron door or a wooden door. It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
And you said that your door is made of wood and it's not leaky because it doesn't matter what material was used.
Of course not. It's a proper wooden door, not a sponge.
Okay, but what I'm trying to tell you is...
Joe, I'm not retarded to pay for a leaky door that's supposed to separate the toxic fume-filled chamber from the other parts of my estate.
Which means That it is, like the wooden door in Minecraft.
Maybe.
You could just answer it with yes.
I am not going to say yes to something that I don't want to understand.
And what about the durability?
Durability.
Yes, the hardness.
Like in terms of Minecraft or what?
No, it's about your door now.
But not in comparison with your Minecraft doors.
No, it's just, how strong is it?
I don't know. I have never tried to break it.